right here. So feet parallel, knees bent, and start bouncing for about 5 minutes, shaking, whatever. So what's going on here is your body has a bunch of different systems, and those systems work in a way that 5 to 10 hertz frequencies tend to help them sort of reset. Now, 5 hertz, that's 5 beats a second. Let's see, one, two, no, I'm not doing it. So what's really going on in terms of how you're managing to make that happen is by going up and down every time you change direction, your body is slightly behind. And so that's setting up some interaction patterns. And that is what's causing random noise throughout your system. And our bodies love noise. In fact, at the cellular level, things work on noise. But that's not what I want to talk about. I'm working on some thoughts. And so I want to talk about shapes for a second. Let's just say, for the purpose of a discussion, this is a metaphor, that things are made of shapes. It could be anything you want. We could call it widgets, we could call it models. The problem is, no matter what word you use, there we go, the floor's not as squeaky. No matter what your word you use, it's going to be wholly inadequate. But the thing is, I want to use a word that has metaphoric values. So shapes. Shapes could be different. Squares, circles, triangles. If shapes somehow interact, you can imagine that a triangle is going to interact differently with a circle than it is with a dodecahedron or dodecahedron, or just anything. So that's not too surprising. That's just a baseline. So how can I tell if two shapes are identical? There's two shapes right there. They're both approximate squares. How do I know they're not identical? Can you see a difference? Distinction. Okay, so let's look at that smaller square right there. How many squares are there? Is it one? Or is there another layer? Is it two? So either they're not identical or they're identical. So identity is based on perspective. Actually, that's pretty good. I think I should stop right there. I'm not going to stop right there. But identity is based on perspective. That's true. If you think about it, this is just the eating elephant story, or a six blind men giving a description of an elephant by touching only one part. And in general, it is impossible to have all information. Hypothetically, it's possible. Let's say it's possible. The concept of emptiness suggests non-independent nature, meaning everything has a connection to everything else. Not necessarily directly, but here's the thing. Let's say you think there's a cluster of unconnected stuff over here and a cluster of unconnected stuff over there. So these two things don't know they're not connected. But you just said they're not connected. Who's the observer? I know they're not connected. Infinite regress. If there's the ability to be aware of a distinction, then there's three things: observer, observed, observation. Three is going to come up a whole lot. So I've just demonstrated something. It wasn't intentional, but I've been working on some stuff, relational stuff, to do with Gödel, Escher, Bach, fractals, but doesn't matter, just a bunch of nerdy, geeky stuff. And my brain has been on fire. And subjectively, it's not anymore. In fact, I almost considered not even saying this because I was like, oh, this is feeling good. This is just calming me down. And it is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let my body hang a little bit differently so I can get a bit different results. Oops, that was 5 minutes. I'm actually still doing my experimentation. So I'm going to, I just read my heart rate variability. I'm going to take a break, read it, and I'll be back. Actually, you know what? No, I have to use this to record it. So I don't think I can do both. So I'll be back. Okay, so that 5 minutes of shaking I just finished, and then my heart rate variability, it went from 40 to 43, so an increase of 7.5%. Bit of a misnomer. I probably delayed the start by 2 minutes, so that might be part of it, but it did go up, it didn't go down. Next, I'm going to do shoulder work. So if you sit a lot, most likely, or if you use a phone, you're doing something like this. So what you're doing is you're compressing your front. When you compress your front, plus you breathe up here, it actually encourages you to continue breathing up here. Your body is good at repeating what you do. And so sitting like this encourages you breathing here. Sitting also compresses your vagus nerve. So that double whammy means you're less likely to get into your parasympathetic nervous system. So sitting is really bad for you, but you're going to sit. The way to do this is to find things that will reverse it. This is a series of 3 poses that are amazing. And I have done so much amazing work improving my traps, my neck, and my thoracic spine with these 3 poses. I highly recommend them. These are thoracic fantastic. That's the name I give them. Let me see. I'm going to use one prop and I'll get it next. Now, with all the flexibility stuff, if you do like these 3 poses, if you change the order, what you're going to notice is whatever pose you do last is going to be deeper. So in one pose, I'm sort of hanging like this and pulling, and eventually gets to the trapezoids. And then another one, I'm going to be doing something like this. And so really they do something similar. And what I've noticed is the more you do those 2, they initially seem quite different, but as you release your shoulders over years, not weeks, over years, they start to converge in terms of how they hit. But what happens is they start differently. But they're both great poses. So I don't know, I'm really rambling. So much calming down my sympathetic system. So anyway, I'm going to jump into the first pose. It's on the wall. Now, the thing about this pose is if you're going to be in it for more than about 3 minutes, you're really going to get a deep stretch in your shoulders, probably in your chest as well. So this is really what you're going to end up doing is something like this, and it's going to really open things up. But if your hands aren't sticky and you start going, it really hurts. It can really be what happens when you do a rapid movement like that. Your sarcomeres notice. Actually, I'm sorry. Your spindles, which go parallel to your sarcomeres, say up too fast, and they cause the sarcomeres to go. Whoosh. So that's a reflex response. And if that happens, and then you notice it, react to it, your acknowledgement of that tunes your autonomic system to potentially cascade. And so don't do it if you can. Don't slide. Or if you do, acknowledge it and move on. It's sort of actually, you know what, if you're into, what's it called? Hang on, I'll get the term in a second. It's not awareness meditation, but just simply observing. So you observe your thoughts. My hand slipped, move it back up. My hand slipped. But the problem is when you're doing stretches like this beyond around 5 minutes, you got to be really careful. So I'm gonna get my hands wet. I do this all the time. I've recorded this many times, and I've washed this wall, and put toothpaste on my hands many times. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna lay on the floor, head basically touching the wall, the crown of my head. Now I'm going to start with my feet flat like so. At some point, I'm going to want to deepen this pose. Most people do not like this pose because it's an intense pose. I choose to go deeper, and I'm going to use my toes and add just a little bit of pressure that will cause me to go a little bit deeper. But I'm going to go in and out. I'm going to ebb and flow in and out. So I'm going to reach my hands up. I'm going to actually not reach my hands up. I'm going to get my timer. Got my timer. And here we go. So hands up, equal height. Then you can go wider or narrower. It gives you a slightly different feel. And then relax into your shoulders. Now we're going to be here a while. And I can tell you right now that my interstitial muscles really feel tight. Whew. Not sure what I did to them. Something. You know, I feel like I'm just a touch too far from the wall. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you an expert move. I'm starting the pose over. Okay, so I don't do this very often. Actually, I do it a lot, but I don't record it very often, but I think it's worth learning. Don't do reps. It defeats the purpose because half the work that you're doing is trying to tune the nervous system. So if you coming out of, here's the thing. If you need to come out, come out. You got to do what you got to do. You got to work from where you are. But ideally, if you can stay in the pose, the net effect is going to be better. Now, for me, I had been in for about a minute. So I really hadn't been in very deep. I didn't want to spend the other 80% of the pose being slightly off because this is an intense pose and anything I can do to make it so that I don't have to pay attention to a little bit of balance makes a huge, huge difference. If you're slightly off balance and you're in an intense pose, you need your concentration to allow yourself to witness the discomfort without reacting. Adding other things on top of that can be difficult. So when I say use props for balance, a lot of times it's use props so that you don't have to think, so that you can put all of your effort into tackling boredom or tackling whatever demon you're facing in the moment of that deep stretch. And sidebar, while I've been talking, I'm stretching my toes. So I'm doing a stretch right now as I talk. My toes are curled under and I'm getting a really good stretch. Now they're not flat, but I've got them symmetrical like this. So mostly it's hitting the first three toes. Ooh, that was a big stretch of my toes. Flexible toes give you better balance. And I think, I'm not certain about this, I believe if you have better grip with your toes when you do something like this, it opens up the bubbling spring, which is the sort of the analog to the Lao Gong. And that's where chi enters and leaves the foot. So if you've got bundled up chi, you might want to just make a suction cup with your foot. You engage with your foot and then hopefully drain that chi out through the floor. That's in the model. That's not how things work for me, but that's how things work for people who really understand chi better than I do. Okay, part two, take two. Here we go. Okay, I'm getting a little bit closer this time. Now my crown is actually almost touching a little bit. Good. And also, I think last time that discomfort was I had probably moved my hands a little wider than I wanted to. See right there? That's better. But I can still go a little bit wider. There we go. It may not look different, but it's night and day different in terms of feel. And it's how it feels, not how it looks. Oof. Gentle movements help. When you move a little bit, you hit more of the muscles. When we talk about the muscle, you're not relaxing the muscle. You're relaxing one sarcomere, then two sarcomeres, then 100 sarcomeres, and so on. So slight movements get better coverage. And also, it allows you to touch the edge to find out where it is. And if you go too far, you'll find out. But if you're taking gentle movements, the slower you move, the higher the fidelity of the sample, the quicker you can respond by stopping. Slow is healing, fast is revealing. Okay, I'm going to deepen the pose. I'm going to curl my toes under, and this is moving me forward. Maybe, I don't know, I'm going to guess a 16th of an inch, hardly at all. It's somewhat imperceptible in terms of movement, but in terms of internal tracking of muscles, tendons, where it's hitting, it's noticeable. In fact, at this point, I want to keep my toes so partially engaged because it keeps the pose a little bit deeper. Whew, there we go. Now, at this point, what's happening is my armpits are somewhat opening up because my traps are loosening and I'm kind of collapsing into my breastbone. And I don't mean that in a negative way at all. It's wonderful. Now, oh, that really brings it even deeper. Now I'm feeling it much more in my chest. And whereas earlier, my interstitial muscles were kind of complaining, now they're opening way up. When you breathe in this one, it naturally moves you up and down a little bit. So if you want to sort of get a little more movement, take a deep, deep breath and really move yourself up. Pushing in against your arms and then relax in deeper. It's in the gentle movements that you find the edge. And it's in the finding of the edge that you extend the edge. The edge is only the edge because you haven't touched it. Once you touch it, it is no longer your edge. Mm. Mm. Oh, I am quite deep. I probably shouldn't talk. Mm. I'm going to push it a little bit and see if I get a little more there, get just a little more action in both my rotator cuffs, just a touch. In the muscle near the rotator cuff, I should say, not the rotator cuff. I don't work in joints. Oh gosh. Oh. I need a moment. Gosh, that was wonderful. Whew. Oh man. It's insane. I wish everyone could experience something like that. It is truly, truly relaxing, releasing. I mean, it's intense. I know it looks intense because it's freaking intense. Whew. Here's my theory about that. Before I started this practice, I had pain all the time, every day, back pain, whatever. Now, when I do this practice, I only have the pain when I do the practice, and it's not pain, it's discomfort. So I amortize pain by investing in discomfort. There you go. All right, now I'm gonna get a prop. Hmm. No, actually, I'm gonna do pretzel arms first. So I want to do, yeah, I'm gonna do pretzel arms first. So the next two poses, that pose it pulls here. right? But by the end, what you probably didn't notice, and I don't think it was very noticeable, my arm started doing this. So medial rotation, but it was happening deeper in the traps. So in fact, it was almost like my chest was going forward like this, like that. Ooh, almost fell forward. And that's what's happening. And so if you can get into a position where you're just hanging there and you're not putting any effort in it, gravity drops your chest and your traps have nothing to do but release. And in fact, what we're doing is reverse trigger point massage. If you think about it, if you have a knot and you press on it, eventually after you press long enough, the muscle is going to release. Well, what we're doing is if the muscle is so tight, we're just saying, okay. And the muscle's like, okay. And then we hold a little bit longer and more. So we're very gradually pulling it apart until, well, 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, you can certainly go longer. I've gone 6, 7 minutes on that pose. Um, it actually gets kind of hard to get out of poses at that point. I mean, you'll get out of them. It's not, it just, it takes some time and effort. And I'm kind of frazzled right now. All right. I just said I was going to do pretzel arms first, and I got this anyway. So let's go ahead and do pretzel arms, Chesh. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, the next pose, if you imagine my shoulders, I'm going to put my arms like so and lay down on them. And what that's going to do is it's going to pull my shoulders apart. So where the previous one was pushing them together, this is going to pull them apart. But it's not pulling them directly apart. Since my arms are crossed, they're going to pull diagonally and diagonally. So I just did this with my shoulders. Now I'm doing this, this. And then finally, I'm going to do this, and you're coming at it from all angles to get deep flexibility all over the place. And actually, no one's going to be watching this, so it's okay. Where is that thing? There we go. I don't want to lay on my chest and keep hitting the polar chest strap, so I don't need my heart rate right now. All right. You ready, sir? Where is that? There we go. Now, if you think this looks like an awkward pose, then you understand the pose. However, once you've done this for a while, you fall asleep in this pose. So I have a timer. I close fell asleep that one on that one. Ooh. Reverse. Let's see. Yes, left up top. You falling asleep? Ooh, ooh, yeah. Okay, get up. Get up. Yep. Now, last one, Chesh, and we're done. It's bedtime. All right, now, for this last one, I do not want socks because I want my feet to not slide. And it's important. If my feet are on socks and on this mat, they're going to slide a little bit. I'm going to have to use my adductors to keep my legs in, and so that's going to add activity unnecessarily. So little tricks like that can help you just do less in the pose. And honestly, the less you do, the better you'll get. That's the irony of surrender. To fully surrender, you have to have full knowledge. To get full knowledge, you need an ego enough to take the time to get the full knowledge. Here we go. 5 minutes. Oh, that's already right where I need it to be. Now, right now, it's pretty good. It's a little bit higher than I'm going to want it in just a few minutes. And when I say at the stretch point, it's between my shoulder blades and it's a little bit higher than the center of of them. And what I'm going to do in a moment is I'm going to shift my weight a little bit forward. But this is hitting it nicely. And so I'm going to wait and see what it does. Also, my hamstrings are getting a nice stretch. This pose will stretch your hamstrings, but we've got plenty of hamstring stretches. So for this one, I advise you to spend your time primarily on the shoulders, not worry about the legs. The legs are going to come along for the ride anyway, so don't worry about it. You'll get it. But I'm getting a nice stretch right here. Now I'm going to lower it just a little bit. Slide forward. That's adjusting my weight. And let's see. There, that's better. shaking. Excuse me. Ooh, I've got myself almost asleep here. Final shaking to sort of gentle reset. And since I did do my neck isometrics before, I'm going to go ahead and do just a few neck isometrics. And I like doing them after. This is gentle enough that it's okay to do after, but because my body is so stretched with these particular poses, when I do the relaxing of the opposite side, I should be able to get full core engagement by doing these here now. So I'm going to go into a little bit of detail here. I'm going to take the time to actually do it. Feet parallel, knees bent. Go to your sacrum, and then if you can, relax your sacrum to your heels as you allow your hip flexors to extend open. Hopefully you'll feel almost like your feet are squishing into the floor. You might just feel heel pressure, totally fine. I'm going to push my fontanelle up. This is gauging my lower bow, my first bow, my second bow, fontanelle up, pressing on the right side while I relax everything on the left to try to get the feeling all the way down the opposite side of the hand I'm pushing on. And here we go. So I got down to here, right about here. Let's see, yeah, okay, let's try this side now. The extent to which you can relax will deepen the total level of engagement on this side because the pressure is coming from here. You're not engaging your muscles. They're getting stretched because they're relaxing and you're adding pressure. Feet parallel, knees bent, sacrum relaxes down, fontanelle up, shoulder, drop your shoulder blades and push. Okay, about the same distance down. All right, front and back. Same thing, feet parallel, knees bent, relax sacrum down, press the fontanelle up, drop shoulder blades. Foreheads in the hand in the foreheads. Keep working on your sacrum. I'm going to actually push my sacrum towards my heels. I'm feeling it all the way down to just about all the way down to my back, lower back. All the way to here. Oh, transverse all the way down to here on that one. All right, and now the ultimate, pressing up. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do this a little bit longer. There we go. Back a third of the head, above the center of your ears is where I'm pressing. Feet parallel. Oops, I need to adjust a little bit. I was getting a little bit of a hot spot, like around my atlas. Don't want that. There we go. That's better. Ooh. Mhm. Oh, okay. Ooh. Definitely getting some heat going on there. And it was that experience when I told my Tai Chi guy, yeah, I feel heat when I do that. He said, well, that's chi. It's like, well, if that's all chi is, I've been feeling chi for years. I just thought it was just body stuff because I'm an idiot. All right, I'm going to do just a bit of a relax, forward fold, relax. Hmm. Oops, I'm sorry. Sorry, buddy. Oh, you're going to jump out. Oh, I lost my balance. Oh, well. Yeah, we done. That's looking so much better.